What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode. I've had this Nissan 240 for the last 2 seasons. So I've had it for all of summer and basically all of the fall. Now, in that time, I've been able to get a good idea as to what I like about the car and what I don't like about it. I do like a lot of things about this thing, but as you guys can tell from the title, there are a few things that I do not like about this car. And I'm gonna be going over the first one of them right now. So I am in the drive-through lineup right now, going to Tim Hortons. I'm gonna pick up a coffee. But you're gonna see once I get the coffee what the little problem is. Now, every single Nissan S13, S14, any S chassis that was sold in North America has this issue. Nissan did remedy this issue with the S15, but not all models came with it. So what I'm getting to is that this vehicle has no places to put a cup. There's no cup holders on the front of the car, in the back of the car, nowhere. So if you go to order something, you're screwed. You gotta hold it or you have to make do with something else, and I'll show you.
Welcome to Tim Hortons. May I take your order?
Hi, can I get a medium double, please?
One medium double. Anything else?
No, that's everything.
$175.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This car isn't exactly the most practical thing in the world. It's a 2-door 2+2. So there is room up front, there is room in the back for people, but if you have a drink, if you want to enjoy a beverage, you've got to hold it in your hand either while you're driving or whatever. Now, there are a couple aftermarket companies that sell things to retrofit a cup holder into the car, but the bad thing about it is that it goes in the center console area. Taking a look at the center console area, we have 2 little cubby holes right here and this little compartment in the back. So if you want to put your coffee cup in here, you have to move all of this stuff out of the way. Move that out of the way so that you can put your 1 coffee cup in here. Now, this does work, kind of. Now, the reason why I'm saying kind of is that if you have someone else in the passenger seat that wants to do the same thing, because this area here is squared off the bottom and the cup tapers out, there isn't enough room to put another cup back here. So anything that you have needs to be moved. You can kind of put something like this here, but at that point, the coffee cup still isn't made for this spot. So that's why this car kind of sucks for that reason. If you want, as I said, there's a company that makes a tray that sits on the top of here, but nothing can be in the bottom of this for this to work because the coffee cup will sit inside of it at the back. Now, it's not a huge deal that it doesn't have cup holders, but it's a little bit of an inconvenience. Now, the next thing that I'm gonna talk about doesn't exactly affect me, but it affects whoever's sitting in the passenger seat. So for my case, it's my girlfriend. Whenever we're driving in this thing, sometimes we'll take it easy, sometimes we'll drive this car hard. The seats do hold you in place, but it'd be nice if you had some sort of extra bracing. So typically, car manufacturers, they'll put a handle on the door, they'll put a whole bar up top. But for this car, there's nothing like that. It's dumb if you ask me, but I mean, you'd think that for a sports car, whoever's in the passenger seat, you think that they're just gonna sit here like this and not get thrown around inside the car? Now, you would say, okay, so get different seats that hug you better. Yeah, that would work. But at that point, you have to spend, let's call it $2 grand to get the car working the way it should be. Come on, it shouldn't be like that. Now, I drove a 370 recently, and I don't know if it runs in the same kind of thing, and I don't know if it has whole bars or not, or if the handles on the door can grab that well. I don't know if there's handles on the door either. But at the same time, you'd think that they'd be able to engineer something like that, or even just put a regular handle up top. It's not anything crazy, and at the same time, it'd make it so that getting in and out will be easier, and also driving the car hard will be more comfortable for whoever's in here with you. Now, the next one, number 3. This ranking isn't exactly in order, but this one here is a big one for me. So finding replacement parts for this car are starting to become difficult to do. So I have a 1998. That's what year this thing is. I don't know if because of the year that it is, parts are becoming more difficult to find, but at the same time, this vehicle, whenever you have to find any kind of replacement part, finding them at the local dealership is going to be difficult. So for the last thing that I had, the last hiccup for this car was a passenger front wheel bearing. The entire wheel bearing assembly I had to buy from a dealership, but at the same time, it wasn't from anything that was close to me. I had to make a 2-hour drive to go pick up this wheel bearing and come back because nothing around me had it. I tried local part stores, I tried the local dealership, nothing at all. And you'd think that given that there's so many aftermarket parts for this car, you'd think that finding stock standard parts will be pretty easy, but that's not the case. If you guys are lucky enough that you live in an area that has a lot of people living there, so that means that there's gonna be big dealerships, that's awesome, lucky for you. But for me, that's not the case. So for me, what I have to do is I have to either make a little bit of a drive or buy my car parts online. I don't really have any way around it. Finding aftermarket parts for this thing is pretty simple. There are a decent amount of websites, including Amazon and Juku Racing, FRS Sport. There's like a whole bunch of others that do have a good amount of parts for this car, which is awesome. That's really nice that they do that, because finding aftermarket parts is easy. Finding exhaust, suspension, sway bars, you know, anything that you want, you can pretty much find. Finding normal stuff like even a body panel, a hood strut, a wheel bearing, a wheel speed sensor, some of that stuff is becoming more and more difficult to find. So that's why if you guys are looking for a car of this age, I would just take that into consideration and hope that you guys know what you're getting into before you buy it. Learn from my mistakes. The next thing that I want to talk about is my fourth complaint with this car, and that is the motor. The motor itself, yes, it is a 4-banger. You can only buy S13s, 14s, and 15s with 4 cylinders. You can buy the KA24, which is a naturally aspirated 2.4 liter, or you can pick up an SR20 that is a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder. No matter which way you go, there's no V6 option, there's no inline 6, there's no V8, no whatever. Now, that isn't exactly the end of the world. My complaint isn't the fact that it has a little amount of power. My complaint is the fact that for the little 4-banger it's not that great on gas, which is kind of surprising. My 2.4 liter 4-banger in my Honda, yes, it is a decade newer, but at the same time, 10 years shouldn't be this bad. So on a full tank of gas, I'm probably getting about 400 kilometers to a tank. On my Honda, I'll easily get 100 kilometers more per tank. That could also have to do with the gearing that this thing has. This does have a 4.08 rear end. So that does make this kind of quick for a little 4-banger. It does make getting up to gears and getting up to speed rather simple. But I mean, at the same time, I don't know, it's little trade-offs here and there. So yes, it does have a 4-cylinder, but if you want fuel efficiency, I don't get why they didn't put a 6th gear in here with a tall gear. So at that point on the highway, you're not cruising at 3,400, 3,500 RPMs. You'd be cruising around 2,500. And at that point, the fuel efficiency is gonna be a lot better. Now finally, the last part about this car has to do with the chassis. This car is very light, and I'll give it that. This car weighs 2,700 pounds, which is a lot lighter than any 350Z, any 370 out there. Just to give you guys a ballpark, the 370Z, yes, it does have a little bit of a bigger motor, but the 370Z weighs over 600 pounds more than this thing, which is crazy if you ask me. So at that time, yes, it is a light car, but the trade-off that you're getting with that point is that the car isn't going to be as stiff as you'd like. It's not as refined as you would think either. For 2,700 pounds, for being a 1990s vehicle, this car, it doesn't feel as solid. It doesn't feel as refined. It doesn't seem to me like there's much sound deadening or anything else in any of these door panels, the roof, or whatever. Because whenever you close it, it does kind of feel a little tinny. With an aftermarket exhaust and with solid motor mounts, you definitely get to see exactly what that characteristic is. Because when you drive, when you put your foot into it, when you actually get on the gas, everything starts to rattle, everything starts to shake. The little vibrations and everything that you feel from the dash and everything like that, that is made from me. But you still kind of get that feeling with the stock exhaust, with the stock motor mounts, with stock everything. They're light cars, they're not refined. Parts are starting to get a little bit difficult. It's not that great on gas. That's not what the car is made for at the end of the day, but I mean, even still, those are some things that you need to consider if you're looking to get one of these cars. I really do love this car. If you guys want to see a video of the 5 things that I love about this car, stay tuned for the next video, and I'll even put that link in the outro when that video comes out. But if you guys have any questions regarding this video, throw them down in the comment section below, and I'd be more than happy to help. Again, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.